It's really in the interests of business right across Europe, especially, to have some consistency and certainty about the markets they're dealing with. And we do have a president that sees the willingness of others to kind of talk to him about trade as both an important part of the conversation, but in a sense almost to weaponize it, to make clear that if we don't do things that he thinks are really important, then we can't expect the benefits. And it's very transactional. And he's always been very clear as the president that he takes that view that being a transactional president is the way that he wants to go forward. And I think that's really how Europe has to respond, or any country has to respond, is to try and work through that. It is very difficult because of the changing landscape. But in the end, this all comes down to the fact that with all that's happening, especially in the Middle East right now, we are moving to a time when there are additional issues globally that we're all going to have to grapple with. And so the more that we can work together on trade, the better.
During your post as the EU's top diplomat, you negotiated with Iran to temporarily curb some of that country's nuclear activities for sanction relief. You clearly know how to speak to the Middle Eastern country diplomatically. How would you currently assess the way that Trump is speaking with Tehran and the tenor from the EU as well in particular?
I think there's a different approach that's being taken. It's much more to raise the temperature rather than to lower it. And it's a bit of ensuring that there's a complete clarity about what could happen. So the critical thing seems to be to address the Straits of Hormuz and to find ways that you can get these open because of the impact that it's all having globally, and actually then start to build up a negotiation that can resolve the conflict altogether.
The UK could pay £1 billion to have greater access to the single market. We know that the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer wants to reset relations between the EU and the UK, but some critics have criticised this news, stating that it's merely pay to play. What do you make of this?
There's no question that Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, and many of his colleagues have absolutely recognised that there is a need to get closer to the European Union and to Europe generally. That's partly because of the security and defence issues that we're confronted with, not least the war in Ukraine, but also the economic realities of the world in which we live. And I think all of this talk now about what money is, what should be done, how it would work, is really all about laying the groundwork for the summit, which is coming, I hope, in the next few months, where they can actually start to bed this down and make sense of it.